live from the Hellmouth, the Popular Cinema Podcast. I'm your co-host, Payne.
I'm Bill.
And welcome to episode 38. How you doing, Bill?
I'm good. 38's pretty old. We've been doing this for a while.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to getting to 50 or maybe 100. I think that'll be really exciting.
50 or 100, Jesus.
Yeah, we'll have a big blowout show. Maybe we can get maybe several people on a panel. It'll be chaos.
Can we have a Chipotle party for it?
Oh, I gotta get one in by March 31st.
That's less than 2 months.
I know. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna use that. All that stuff right there. So, Bill, how's your weekend?
It was nice and dandy. How was yours?
It's good. You know that what this is?
Valentine's weekend?
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. It's a weekend for lovers.
Well, it's sort of a pre-Valentine's weekend because Valentine's Day isn't until Tuesday.
I know. Do you have any plans?
I do not. We're kind of old married couple now, so we kind of feel like Valentine's is like a Hallmark holiday. So,
okay, Sweetest Day is a Hallmark holiday. I think Valentine's Day has always been out there, right? Isn't that like?
Yeah, it's always been out there, but I mean, once you've done like 25, I mean, I don't think it needs to be like a big production, but I'm sure we'll do something.
Oh, okay. So you're telling me if I happen to be in the neighborhood and I say, "Hey, Bill, let's grab a drink," you're gonna be like, "Sure."
It's a Tuesday, first of all, so that's out. But I'm just saying that, like, yeah, we'll probably keep it on the down low. Like, maybe we'll watch a movie or something. Maybe we'll have dinner, but we're probably not going to go out to a fancy restaurant. And we're probably not going to do like a lot of candies or flowers or, we've done all of that. But, at this point in our cohabitation, our relationship, we're kind of like, we save our special times for the actual days where we have like, anniversaries and shit like that.
Oh, okay. Anniversaries, birthdays.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever. I'll be doing.
But that, however, you've only been in a relationship for a year, so I expect a little bit more effort out of you.
Oh, okay. So when do I not have to give effort?
I'd say maybe at the 5-year to 10-year mark.
So I could just go to the dollar store, get her a card, and call it a day?
I mean, you might want to whip by and get like at least a single flower from the grocery with the card for a while. Yeah. I mean, if you really want to blow it out, I've got some great ideas that I've done over the years that I would love to share with you. We're talking like picnics and,
Listen, I'm a regular Cyrano de Bergerac over here. I don't think I need advice from you. Okay, I'm good to go.
Okay, all right, okay.
My game is tight. Anyway,
yes. That's what they call you, Casanova Payne. That's your nickname. So.
All right, Bill. You have promised that we're going to keep this show on point, and it's going to move quickly. Am I right?
We're going to try to do the 60-minute mark again. I got myself a timer. It's shaped like a Death Star for Star Wars, of course. So we've got the minutes counting down, and once the segment time is up, if we're going over, we'll try to stay on schedule.
That reminds me, Bill. Okay, that reminds me. I gave some notes from 2 weeks ago. I looked up soundboards, and do you know that there are 1 million soundboards already like primed and ready to go at a moment's notice?
I'm not sure
so, as a result of that, I was going to give you your choice. Do you want, in honor of our president, the Trump soundboard?
I say it all the time.
I like it.
You like that?
I do.
All right. Wait, here's another.
I thought it was terrific. It was clean. It was clean.
Oh wait.
I like it.
I thought it was terrific. It was clean. It was nice, and the bed was good.
These might be some of my favorite sound bites we've ever used so far, so I'm down with it.
All right. Anyway, So I figured we'd start off with some sort of general icebreakers to get you fully awake, um, get you in the mood. So I was thinking, based on some of our prior conversations and things that I've been reading, it got me thinking about movies that I haven't seen that I feel kind of like embarrassed, a little bit ashamed, and somewhat incomplete that I haven't seen. And so I was going to ask you, do you have any movies like, when people are in a group and they start talking and they, these are, I would assume, popular movies, and they go, Bill, what do you think about that one? And then you sit there and go, oh shit, I haven't seen that movie. Is there a certain movie out there like that for you?
First of all, there are movies that I'm ashamed that I have not, or embarrassed that I have not seen. However, in the situation that you're describing, that doesn't really bother me. Like being in a group talking to people about something I haven't seen doesn't bother me. I have inner turmoil, and I feel like as a movie lover, generalized speaking here, that there are things I probably really should have seen or should see just for my own responsibility to being, a well-informed movie person.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, what causes you inner turmoil?
Um, my number one would probably be the Godfather saga, which I've never seen, which shocks people when they hear that I've never seen it, and
The
you see
fucking
mouths
saga?
go agape. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. So that's probably number one on the list. Um, yeah, I don't know. I bought Chris the entire trilogy on Blu-ray several years back. It still remains in the shrink wrap on the shelf. So we've just never gotten around to it.
That's really shocking to me. Not only Godfather 1, 2, and 3, you haven't seen any of them.
Never seen a single minute.
Is there is, is there
It.
any chance that you'll be watching them anytime soon?
I don't know about anytime soon. I imagine one day I will. I certainly think it's in the future cards at some point, but I don't feel any particular hurry towards it. Um, it's not really my kind of go-to flick, but again, I realize it's a cultural touchstone, and everyone probably needs to have seen it or see it. So I fully anticipate sometime getting around to it. It's just it seems very long. Like I think the expanded version or whatever is like 4 hours and 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
It's subject matter that doesn't particularly fascinate me. I'm not really into mob movies or mob stories really. So it's just not something I feel a big rush to see.
If I had the Game of Thrones soundboard up and ready to go, I would hit the button that would go shame,
Yes, I know.
shame.
I know. This is I know. I know.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
You know, you, okay. I see you're
All
going to
right.
be all up for
Well,
that. Okay. You've got two
I
minutes. Go.
I will join your shame club. I have not seen that causes me some sort of inner turmoil. Schindler's List,
Ugh.
um, as well as Saving Private Ryan.
Honestly, Saving Private Ryan isn't really, I would say, a cultural touchstone as much as Schindler's List would be. I would actually recommend, but that's just my preference, that you watch Band of Brothers, the miniseries, over Schindler's or over Saving Private Ryan because it's the same subject matter. It's by the same people in some cases. Steven Spielberg produced Band of Brothers and directed Saving Private Ryan, but honestly, the story is much more involving in the miniseries, although it's 10 hours long, so that's kind of a deterrent probably.
Well, no, I mean, I've heard that from a few people about Band of Brothers, and it's very popular, and I would like to try it out, but, you know,
Ah, we've got to move on.
you know
Fascinating, but
what? That's
you
ridiculous.
said
You
10
know,
minutes.
there's no subtlety to what you're doing right there. There's no segue. There's nothing. I'm in the middle of going, Bill, let me tell you my deepest, darkest secrets. You're like, nope, got no time. Next subject.
Okay, I'll give you a 2-minute allowance to go over. Go.
No, I don't want to go over a 2-minute allowance. It's Schindler's List. You know, every time, you know, it took me forever to watch The Green Mile. And I think I had Schindler's List on. Like, if it came on television like TNT, I might tape it. I might be able to watch it in parts, and hopefully I get sucked into it. But, you know, it's not, it's just going to be heavy. I have a feeling it's going to be heavy.
Yes, but you watch heavy movies. I mean, as long as they were directed in the last 5 months or on top of a Netflix queue, you don't give a shit what kind of subject matter it is. So why is it that this movie, because it's beyond your 5-week limit, is off?
No, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. By the way, I'm watching Birth of a Nation right now. I started it this morning.
My point exactly.
And I'm going to probably have to start the revolution of killing all the Caucasian people after watching the movie.
I'm sure your girlfriend will love to hear that. I'm sure that's really going to ingratiate.
I already gave prior warning that I was going to be watching The Birth of a Nation, so it's going to be very angry blackmail. So, anyway, all right, it's time to move on. By the way, I forgot to mention this. I don't know if we have time to fit this in. Do we want to read Superfan Melissa's email that she sent to us regarding our last episode?
Maybe at the end of the show.
Maybe at the end of the show. Okay, all right, that's fine. So I was going to ask you one more question. I know we're past our allotted time, but let me just ask you. I won't give my opinion on it, but let me ask you. In terms of going back and looking at these movies, like, you know, like The Godfather, and maybe there's some other movies. I mean, out there that you told me I should go back and see, like Raging Bull and some other classics all about Eve.
Time's up. Gotta move on.
Last question. Just you can answer within 2 minutes. If the people, the kids, the newer kids, let's say my nephews, where do they start off with watching movies? Like, do they start off with the year 2000? You know, how far do you go back?
As a well-rounded, if they want a better understanding of the evolution of cinema as a art form, they should probably go all the way back to the original Birth of a Nation, the silent version.
Yes, but what I'm saying, I hear what you're. Okay, I should let you finish. That's all I asked for. But it's like a kid born in 2005. Is he going to sit there and go, I'm going to go pull up a 1984 Ghostbusters movie when he just watched the new remake? What makes somebody go back that far?
The desire to be educated?
Wow, we're really pushing education, the education?
Yeah, I think at a certain look, I went through my own education period, you know, where I was interested in the evolution of cinema. I would hope that any serious movie fan at some point in their life, whether they end up doing that their whole life, which I stopped doing at a certain point, or whether they just have a period of their life where they explore that, I would want them to get some idea of movies that were part of the world before they were born. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's a necessity as a serious movie fan.
All right. Moving on. Do your noise.
Oh, well, I can't. It's on a timer. So I'll set the timer for the next segment.
What type of device do you have that you can't somehow cut it off of the timer? Can't you just like turn the knob quicker?
Are you happy?
Oh, God. That shit's so weak. It's so weak. Anyway. Now, we're going to be doing quick hitters, and we're going to be going, 4 to 5 minutes on each subject?
You said 4.
Okay, 4 minutes.
Now it's 3 minutes and 40 seconds since we went over.
Okay. In honor of the new president, I was going to call the segment, Oh Shit, What Now? But I figured you would appreciate this. What do you think about this for the title?
Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
I love it. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I am 100% behind it.
Okay, all right. So moving on to the dark side. Apparently, the Batman movie, Bill, has found a new director. Matt Reeves has been given the director's chair, and we all know Matt Reeves from Cloverfield, War for the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and Let Me In. How do you feel about this?
I feel like the street cred on him is strong, although I'm not a personal fan of any of those movies. I don't have an objection to him doing the Batman based on this because really what I just want is the fanboys to sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up about all of this shit in regards to the doubts about the DCEU. So as long as they've got somebody who's going to give the fanboys some kind of placation, then I'm good. So
You know, I'm a big fan of his work. I'm not a fan of Cloverfield, but I went back and I looked at the ratings, the stars that I put on my Netflix movies, and I looked up all his movies in my Netflix that I watch, and I've given them all 4 stars outside of Cloverfield. War for the Planet of the Apes, Let Me In, all 4-star movies. Love his work, love the idea of him. I think it's a great coup for them.
um, I will say though, it's not 100% confirmed right now. He's in supposedly final talks, but they haven't officially announced it. So there's always room for that to go off the rails, I guess.
Do you think there'll be any conflict between him and Ben Affleck when he looks at Affleck's script and said this is garbage and we have to rewrite this whole thing?
I don't think so because the latest thing I heard, which I don't know if you put that in the notes or not, is that all these rumors that we've heard that they're unhappy with the script and that they're starting over again is not true, and that they are in fact, unlike the Flash, which they are actually starting over from scratch, that they're in fact happy with the script and they're ready to go. So who knows? I mean, it could be one, the other, it could be both. I won't believe any of these things until they actually start filming. So I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, when they're on set and everybody's in costume, that's when I'll believe it's going to happen.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on.
I thought we were going to get a new sound for that. We're still using that, huh?
No, I tried to. You know how hard it is to find, a news wave. Oh, there was this. How about this?
That's better.
No?
That's
Oh,
a
you
little
like
bit.
the red
It's a
alert?
little bit alarmist, but okay.
Well,
It's better than the
maybe
other
it's
one.
appropriate for the times that we live in.
Quite possibly true.
All right. So apparently, the Coen brothers are back on the scene, Joel and Ethan, and they're going to be rewriting the script to the classic Scarface, which I have seen and do love. As being a black person, you've got to love Scarface.
I've seen it.
Do you love it?
Do I own it? No. Will I sit down and rent it? No. So love it. I respect it. Let's put it that way.
You're one of those Fresh Prince black people. You live over in Beverly Hills, so you're not down with the Scarface.
Yeah. I'm not down with Scarface, but the ultra violence is something that in a mob movie, it's a mob movie basically. That's not the forte of mine.
Okay. Well, apparently the one director was going to be Antoine Fuqua.
Right.
Fuqua, who's known for The Equalizer, Training Day, one of my all-time favorites, and the underrated Southpaw and Olympics Has Fallen. He's no longer there. They're looking at maybe getting Peter Berg, who did Patriots Day and Deepwater Horizon. He also did Lone Survivor. He really does those patriotic films. He actually does good work. But I think Antoine would have. I think they should get somebody more edgy for this type of movie.
So the Coens are writing the script and producing it, and they're hiring a director because usually they direct their own stuff, so they're not directing.
I know that I would be more intrigued if they were actually in the director's chair, but that is not at this point.
Honestly, listen, I'm not a Coen fan per se. Outside of Fargo, I'm not a big fan of their work. However, I do think that's kind of sad when two people who are known for doing original stuff are now joining the remake / reboot / rehash bandwagon that's kind of swept Hollywood in the last 10 years. I mean, these were people who are notorious for doing original things, and now they're doing a Scarface remake. Really?
Well,
Seems kind of sad.
well, your boy Diego Luna from Rogue One is going to be in it. Does that kind of sway you over there?
It doesn't sway me. I'm glad Diego Luna is going to get more work. But I probably wouldn't have seen this either way, whether he was in it or not. Honestly.
Okay. Well, this new version of Scarface is going to be set in L.A. and will focus on a Mexican immigrant as opposed to a Cuban immigrant that was with Al Pacino.
That's sure to make the president extremely happy. I'm sure the Trumps will be lining up for their tickets well in advance.
Oh, okay. All righty. You know what that red alert sound is from?
Star Trek?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay. Well, one of your favorite producers, Blumhouse, is back in the news. Apparently, John Carpenter is going to be the executive producer of the Halloween remake.
It's actually not a remake. That now they're saying it's a continuation of the original story following Halloween 2. So it's another one of those Aronofsky things that he was going to do with Alien and just sort of ignore the last 2 Alien movies and pick up the story from the end of Aliens.
Really?
Apparently that's
so
what they're going to do with this.
Wait a second. I mean, anybody that's listened to this show know that we watched all the Halloween movies
Right.
when they came out. So I understand Halloween 3 with Season of the Witch is an outlier. Very, still like a cult classic with people. But then you had 4, 5, and 6. You had Halloween H2O. Then you had the Rob Zombie remakes. We're just going to get rid of like 4, 5. We're just gonna get rid of that history.
Apparently.
All right. So
I
we're
mean,
gonna
I'm not
pick it up after 2.
right now. How explicit they're going to make it? I mean, they probably have to go into very explicit detail to explain that they're ignoring 4, 5, and 6, or if they just kind of gloss over the details that have happened and don't necessarily contradict them, but don't acknowledge them. Then you can kind of say, well, it could happen either after 2 or it could happen after the other 3 or whatever. So, depending upon how specific they get, just because they're not intending to address the sequels doesn't mean that they're going to write over them.
Okay. I mean, I really was I liked the way they were going after 3 because I think they were trying to come up with like some sort of like cult leanings for Michael Myers, and I was kind of interested in that storyline. But I think things got convoluted, and later on, all I remember was Jamie Lee Curtis had returned with LL Cool J, and that was sort of the end of it. And then we got Rob Zombies.
Well, there's one after that in that continuity too, which is Resurrection,
Yes.
where they do it was kind of in the early stages of reality TV, where they stage a reality TV show in the Myers house, starring
it was a little bit like Shaky Cam too, if I thought. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Tyra Banks is in it. So, and I think there's another rap star that's kind of big, or was kind of big at the time, that was in it. It's a piece of treacle.
Rob Zombie remakes?
I did see the remakes. I saw the first remake, the Rob Zombie remake. I thought it was awful. So.
Okay. Well, you have Gordon Green and Danny McBride joining the project, doing the script, and I think Gordon is going to be directing it. They worked together on Pineapple Express and Eastbound and Down, which was a very funny show for me.
So is this going to be a horror comedy, or are they just going to ignore their comedy roots and just try to write straight horror?
I'm hoping, and I'm you know what I assume? I assume that they're going to be ignoring their comedy, their roots, and it's going to be a straight horror film. So, I hope this is like a Russo brothers situation where you can actually do other things outside of what you're known for.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how to explain this. I like Halloween. I respect its place in the classic of the horror genre, but it doesn't hold up well for me over multiple repeat viewings. At a certain point, I just start to go, it's kind of boring.
it's sort of the whole idea like Friday the 13th to a degree. I mean, it's, you know, people sleep together, rises up out of the grave, kills each person in a weird way, and then dies at the end. I mean, it's, you know, wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm kind of mixed about this. First of all, it's Blumhouse or Bloomhouse, whatever you want to call it, and they're, you know, they're not exactly
Better,
known for their big budgets.
better put some respect on their name. I don't know why you keep disrespecting
I'm
Bloomhouse.
not. I'm all I'm offering is my honest opinion about whether I'm excited about this remake or not. And when you put the word Blumhouse in it, if it's not attached to the word Shyamalan, I don't know if I'm particularly thrilled and super excited to hear the name.
You know, what's funny is I keep saying Bloomhouse. I keep
I
saying
know.
Bloom, Bloom, as opposed to
Blum.
Blumhouse.
Yes, I think it's actually pronounced Blum.
Do you think there are people listening to our show, and every time I say Bloomhouse, they just sit there and just start smashing their
Got to
head
move
against
on.
their steering wheel? I don't know if I like you yelling at me that it's time to move on.
Well, what is the point of having the timer if we're just going to keep talking over it?
I mean, it's Valentine's Day. Can't you be smooth with it or something? Like, in a nice way.
All right, I will be more gentle with it. I'll be like, I'll let you finish your sentence, and then I'll say it's
Here,
time to move
let me
on.
ask you a Valentine's Day question.
Okay.
Let's just say you were in the early stages of your relationship with your husband and you were to give him flowers. And he likes, let's just say, roses, a dozen red roses. And you got roses that cost like $4. Like somebody was selling them on the street and got $4. Are those roses worth only $4? Or are they worth more than that because they look like that? Are you comfortable with getting $4 roses?
If they're $4 roses that look like they're $20 roses, I'm comfortable. If they're $4 roses that look like they're $4 roses, then I'm not comfortable.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. This, by the way, implies that I am not trying to be cheap on Valentine's Day whatsoever. I have already bought my woman flowers. I'm just putting
She
that out
knows what
there.
she's dealing with. I'm sure she won't
Fuck.
be surprised when she gets some
Yeah,
shit that looks like it came out of the dumpster from behind the Buca de Beppo's.
I shouldn't have said anything because I'm going to probably upload the show. God damn it.
That
Wait,
was
tell
not
her to make
smart.
sure she doesn't download the show.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. Apparently, I put this in here because I'm kind of curious about it, but It will be coming, the movie. Stephen King, based off his novel It, will be coming to theaters in September 2017. And apparently the rating has come out because, this is always news now anymore as to what rating a certain movie will be getting. And thankfully, it will be rated R because you kind of have a scary kid that's going to be trying to kill a lot of kids that really can't be PG-13.
You
Did
know,
you
the
ever see the
original was a
original?
TV. No, the original was a TV miniseries, which couldn't have been anywhere near an R. So I don't know why all of a sudden this one has to be hard R, but okay, I
I,
guess.
I, I, I really think it's a misconception that scary movies they have to have a hard rating like such as R in order to be credible. I think what's scary is everything it's outside of the violence. It's like the mind game, it's the atmosphere. There's so many things that make a horror movie scary outside of R-rated materials like strong violence and brutality and such a thing.
All the R rating really gets them is the ability to have A, explicit sex, and B, more red colored blood splattered everywhere. So, I mean, if that's really what you need in your horror movie, then I guess an R would make sense that you'd be happy that you get that. But outside of that, I think you're right. You don't need to have an R to be actually psychologically frightening.
I saw this Iranian horror movie on Netflix called Under the Shadow.
Okay.
And it received some awards. It's on Netflix. I saw it. It was very creepy. No blood, but just absolutely creepy. You won't be watching it because it's subtitled. But if I had to do my movies over, I might put it in my top 10 for 2016.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to call you.
I don't know if I'm a
6.
fan of that sound either, quite honestly. Well,
I mean,
I'll find something.
you say that we do this show every 2 weeks. You say that every 2 weeks. And then what do? I call you on the phone and you're like this. I'm just waking up from my nap, but I'm ready to go with the show. Let's just go.
I'll find something. That is
right.
not working for me.
All right, there's a little bit of interesting. I don't know if this is really news because there's nothing concrete about it. But according to Fox president of entertainment, David Madden, he said the option for more Firefly is on the table if so-and-so comes back to it. Now, we know the Firefly series only went 1 season, and then it followed up with the movie Serenity, which was a very good movie. Is it fair to say it was created by Joss Whedon?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about more Firefly?
First, there's 2 different ways I feel about it. The first thing is I don't understand the financial impetus of trying to reboot a show that wasn't a hit the first time. I don't understand the logic behind trying to make a hit out of something that people have already told you they're not interested in. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Do you think maybe possibly it came too soon?
No, I think things happen when they're supposed to. I mean, I think, again, I don't know why we're digging through the trash to come up with more new, fresh ideas. I mean, I understand that it was before its time in some people's opinions or whatever, but I just think it's kind of throwing good money after bad, really. And I don't see, outside of the browncoats, there being a huge groundswelling of people who are out there picketing for more Firefly. That's my first thing.
Okay.
And the second thing is, again, Serenity didn't make a whole lot of money either, and this has been at least 10 to 12 years since this has happened. What I think it's a big question mark in my mind of what are they thinking? That's
outside of the financials. Would you want more Firefly?
I wasn't in love with Firefly, to be honest with you. It was okay.
That's why you're saying it the way you're saying it, because you're just like, I'm just not feeling the whole thing to begin with.
Yes, but I also don't understand the concept of trying to pull something that was failed the first time to reboot it a second time. I don't understand that. If people didn't want it the first time, what makes you think they're going to want it now?
I looked up the box office receipts for Serenity.
Yeah, it didn't make.
Apparently, it cost $39 million to make.
Right.
It made $38 million worldwide.
Okay. Again, my point has been illustrated. Yes, it was a big financial disappointment for them, and they did Serenity based on this is what I'm saying. They've already tried this. They did Serenity based on the popularity of the Firefly canceled show, and Serenity spanked them. So now they're going to go back for more of this.
Maybe with Joss Whedon writing his Avengers billion-dollar movies, that might create more of a people running to the screen to see his next work.
No, because people ran to the screen to see Marvel's Avengers that was directed by Joss Whedon, not Joss Whedon's Avengers.
Damn. You're like
that's the truth. It's the truth. I mean, that's just the reality of the industry that it currently stands.
Fuck, I was trying to find our president. I couldn't find a line. You said the truth, and if I actually had a producer, they might be able to click.
They're rapists.
Really? So yeah, I don't think this is. Fox is already not having a fantastical last couple of years. I mean, last summer they got spanked a little bit with the low box office return for Apocalypse. Obviously they did Deadpool, which did gangbusters, but I just don't see the logic of this. Are you looking forward to this? Do you want something like this to happen?
Well, I'm listening to you, and it took me a while to get on board with Firefly, and part of it still doesn't sit well with me. The show, I think the characters are very interesting, but there are other aspects like this whole like retro cowboy spaghetti western in space type of thing. it really doesn't speak to me, but the characters are so fleshed out. It's fun, and I did enjoy the movie Serenity. There's something unpalatable about it. But if you were to tell me that Joss Whedon was coming back to television and he was going to be doing a reboot or a new season of Firefly, I would be in front of the television screen, happy to watch it.
I honestly
But
wouldn't. I don't think. I don't think I would go back to watch it. I don't think I enjoyed it enough to sit back and say I would watch it again. I think the smart business decision for them though would be to do a Netflix series. If they're going to do it, don't put it back on network television. Obviously, that's where people have already said that they don't want it. Netflix is a much more niche thing. All their little brown coats can find it easily. Everybody's got Netflix, and it might have just enough of a interest from the hardcore Firefly fanboys to succeed on a smaller scale, like a Netflix type of series.
what the
I could
fuck
see
is
that.
a brown coat?
Those are what you call they call the Firefly
The main one?
fanboys.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you know why they call them brown coats?
Because they wore brown coats, or what's his name? Nathan Fillion wore a brown coat in the series.
That's correct.
Yeah. Don't try to school me, okay?
I asked. It was a question. Really? So,
All right.
yeah, I think the Netflix is the answer for them if they're going to do it.
Okay, Netflix is the answer for anything. Anything that if you're sick, what you need more is you need Netflix. That's what you need.
And
in
chicken
your life.
soup.
All right. Now, I have to put this in here because this is always amazing to me. It's always amazing to me, and I'm like an old man when I keep repeating the story. But apparently, Jeepers Creepers 3 has started filming in Vancouver. Apparently, it was going to be called Jeepers Creepers Cathedral. This, of course, will be directed by sex offender Victor Salva.
Really?
And
Really?
Bill, the Jeepers Creepers movies, I find to be very good, and I enjoy them. And he also did one of the best horror movies I've ever seen, Victor
Huh?
Salva, called Clown House.
Okay.
It's really hard to find on DVD. I think it might be out there. I do still have the VHS tape of it. It was very spooky, but oddly enough, I got 4 minutes. I'll make it short. But when you watch the movie Clown House, the beginning scene of this movie is you have like a couple boys wrestling around in their tidy whities. And what's weird about it is, I was watching, I go, this seems kind of weird to me. And then lo and behold, you find out that he was kind of messing around with the little boy. The kid was under 14, and he was doing stuff that got him convicted and sent to prison. Well, after he served his prison time, he came back out. He did Jeepers Creepers. He did Jeepers Creepers 2. And do you know what one of the scenes were in Jeepers Creepers 2?
I'm going to assume it's going to be an underage boy in underwear.
It was high school boys, a football team on a bus. The bus broke down out in the cornfield. And since it was hot, all the boys took off all their shirts and got on the top of the bus and started sunning themselves. I mean, do we not know the man's history? Is there anybody like HR on the set going, Victor, really? He's like, it's in the script. We're like, Victor, you wrote this script. Well, this is what happens when it gets hot out. Boys take off their shirts. I'm like, come on.
Okay, here's where I come down on this. You've got to decide whether this issue makes you want to not tune into these films or not. I am a very passionate person when it comes to child abuse and that kind of thing. I work in the child care field, and I have made some hard line decisions in my life about people who I would or would not have in my life based on, their past history and whatnot have you, things that I just did not feel comfortable with about them. Okay. So, you have to decide, I think, whether this issue is going to be disturbing enough for you to not patronize this movie, or if it isn't, then you're going to have to realize that you're going to see certain things that you might not feel particularly comfortable about if they're part of the film.
You know what? I'm going to see the film. I'm just always shocked, amazed that when these scenes pop up, it just seems kind of like there's a history that, you know, if you get convicted of a certain crime, especially dealing with something like that, and then you're working with, let's just say, people that maybe play in a certain age, I don't know. It just seems weird.
I don't
I have
disagree with you. And for me, though, I'm going to have to draw a hard line. We own Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2 on, I believe it's regular DVD because my husband is a fan of those films. I've only seen them with him once, and I saw them both earlier before I realized all of this stuff was going on with Salvo. At this point, and to be not hypocritical, because like I said, I have had to eliminate people from my life that I felt were not on the up and up with this kind of issue, I'm going to have to say I'm going to have to pass on this. Because I'm not comfortable with the director and the history of the director doing these kinds of things in his films. And that's just me. So.
All right. Fair enough.
Now, if Victor Salvo directs the next DCEU movie, we might have to renegotiate these terms. So.
I guess we'll be on the board of people change, right? People change. You did your time. I did my time. Right?
Right. So.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to let you talk about our next subject here. Marvel's Runaways, as we know, is coming to Hulu, is based on the comic book where a group of teenagers discover their parents are supervillains called the Pride. And so these young kids run away, hence the title Runaways. Apparently, over this past week, the castings of the parents came out, and I think the children came out also during this time. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. A lot of people were cast. I'm not going to read the names. I'm going to leave it up to you, Bill. Do you like the casting for Runaways?
I know exactly 2 names on this entire list of like 20 people. James Marsters is exciting as a Buffy fan. And Ray Donovan is exciting because he was obviously in the the Marvel U as I forget what his character's name, but he was one of the Warriors 3 in the Thor movies. If I'm thinking of the right person, because now that I look at the last name, I think it might not be who I think it is. And I'm thinking he was in one of the Punishers too. Am I right on that? Do you think that? Let me look him up real quick.
Oh, I'll look it up. Go ahead. That's it.
But those are the only 2 names I recognize on this whole list. So, are you sure it's Ray Donovan? Because that's a television series.
It is a television series. Wait, can't somebody have the name Ray Donovan?
I guess. I mean, it sounds like it could be a common name, but let's see if I can find, because that's a television series starting. What's his name from?
Liev Schreiber. Yes.
Who?
Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, Liev Schreiber. That's him. Yeah, I don't know. Then it's not who I thought it was anyway. So never mind.
So you only know one person then?
Yeah, James Marsters, and the rest of these people are completely unknown to me.
Wow. Okay. Is that good or bad?
I got it now. Kip Pardue is the actor who's in Ray Donovan, and he is playing Frank Dean. Got it. That was pretty stupid. So Ray Donovan's not actually a person. Kip Pardue is the actor. Ray Donovan's the show.
Fair enough.
Got it. Okay, so then I do only know James Marsters, and is this a Mark Millar story?
I will look it up. See, this is the problem when we don't have interns.
You know, I'm willing to give it a shot. You know, just as much as I am going to give a shot to Cloak and Dagger, just as much as I gave a shot to Powerless, which turned out to be so painful I could not watch the complete second episode, and it is now off my list. But yeah,
Runaways was the author is Brian Vaughan.
Oh, okay. Isn't that one of your favorites?
I don't know if he's one of my favorites, but he's done some interesting work.
Brian K. Vaughan. He did Why the Last Man?
I never read it. Wasn't interested in it.
Okay. Wow, we know a whole lot about this comic property we're discussing fully on this show today. Sorry, fans, listeners.
Well,
We're just
I mean, I
all
never
ignorant
read
today.
Runaways, so I really can't.
The concept sounds cool. It's Marvel's show, so I'm gonna definitely tune in. The fact that it's on Hulu, yeah, I would say Hulu's probably at a budget level lower than Netflix, which is a budget level I'm not particularly thrilled with as it is. So I don't know if I would look forward to. Of course, there was the PlayStation Network who did that show Powers. So if they can pull it off for 2 seasons, maybe Hulu can try it too. Why not?
Oh, okay. This sounds very fascinating to me. Let me read this. This is from Wikipedia here, and Wikipedia never lies. Originally, the series featured a group of 6 kids whose parents routinely met every year for a charity event. One year, the kids spy on their parents and learn they are the Pride, a criminal group of mob bosses, time travelers, dark wizards, mind scientists, alien invaders, and telepathic mutants. The kids steal weapons and resources from their parents and learn they themselves inherited their parents' powers. Alex Wilder, a prodigy, leads them, while Nico Muir learns she is a powerful witch. Carolina Dean discovers she is an alien. Gertrude Yorks learns of her telepathic link to a dinosaur. Chase Stein steals his father's futuristic gloves, while young Molly Hayes learns she is a mutant with incredible strength. The kids band together and defeat their parents and atone for the sins of their parents by fighting the new threats, trying to fill in the Pride's voids. Later, they are joined by cyborg Victor Mancha, a shape-shifting Skrull, and Skrull Zaven, a plant manipulator. Anyway, does that not sound pretty cool?
What kind of superpower is a psychic link to a dinosaur?
Well, if it's a velociraptor, Bill, you can sit there and be like, hey, attack.
Okay, if it's a psychic link to a dinosaur, then it would be a psychic link to a fossil. Or are we to believe that somehow this velociraptor survived the extinction that all the other dinosaurs left the Earth
What
for?
part of time travel, dark wizards, mad scientists, and alien invaders and telepathic mutants, and you get stuck on a dinosaur?
Okay, all I heard was she has a psychic link to a dinosaur, and it made me question what kind of power that is. It
Now,
sounds.
for TV series, do you think they will be able to do all these powers, or we're just going to have to dumb them down and give them other basic things like super speed?
I mean, it's a Hulu show, like I said. I don't know what budget level we're working with, but it sounds expensive. I will also say that it does sound a little similar to the concept of the Teen Titans a little bit, maybe. So I'm kind of down with the teenage group of superpowered rebels. Sure, why not?
Okay. Teen Titans was one of your favorite comic books growing up, wasn't it?
It was. So, short of that, I mean, there was a rumor that they were going to do a Teen Titans show on one of these networks a couple years ago, and that kind of fell through the cracks. So, if this is the closest we get, I'm definitely, it's got the Marvel name in it. We know how I feel about them, so I'm definitely going to check it out.
I'm sorry, I'm not prepared for this part here, but do we know when this show is supposed to hit Hulu?
I don't. I think it's starting to film around the same time as Cloak and Dagger, so I think the projection that I heard for both of them was sometime next year. So.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. In other remake news, in light of Halloween, apparently Dune is going to be remade, and director Dennis, say his last name for him, Villanueva.
Yeah. Villeneuve
will be tasked. We'll be put in the director's chair. Apparently, in November of last year, Legendary, the studio, and Frank Herbert estate announced their intent to bring Dune to both the movie and the television screens, with members of his family and blah, 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 executive producers. So we know Dennis Villanueva did Sicario, recently Arrival, and he's got Blade Runner 2049 coming up. And I think he also did Prisoners. Am I right on that one?
I don't know. I've never seen it.
I'll look that up.
The only one I've seen on this
that?
list. I'm not a big Dune fan either, to be honest with you. The original David Lynch version I've tried multiple times to watch and get into, and it's one of those Warcraft things for me where it seems overly complicated and not as much fun as I'd like it to be, and I just never could quite get through it. So
I get that. I think Dune, when you watch the movie in and of itself, it seems like there's a lot of history there, a lot of families, and a lot of politics that you don't know. And it's not like it's a TV series where you have time to kind of figure out things. You've only got a few hours, and they have to throw this ton of material at you. It's a lot to digest.
It's a little hardcore sci-fi for me. I guess I would call myself a sci-fi light fan. Like I can do sci-fi as like a trapping of something, but it's very hardcore sci-fi to me, and it's very like otherworldly. And I mean, I'm not trying to say I need things to be dumbed down, but it just feels a little bit too much work for me to get into that world that they're building. There's a lot of world building and stuff that you sort of have to get your head around in that, and it just never worked for me.
You know, Denis Villeneuve, Bill. I'm looking over his IMDb, and I've seen most of his big movies. I saw Incendies, which was a very difficult movie to watch. I saw Prisoners, Enemy, Sicario, which I love that Hitman film, and I did not see Arrival or obviously Blade Runner right now, but a lot of his works seem to sit well with me. But you saw Arrival, and that did not sit well with you.
No, I
Did you
did not.
not like his direction, or did you the material? What was it about it again?
I thought the story was boring. I thought the whole movie was just a big snooze fest, to be honest with you.
Okay. Did you? So, well, I guess if you thought it was a snoot fest, then as the director, he didn't really pull you into the movie. Then.
No, I thought the story was just. It was like it was like a Contact wannabe, only Contact did it first and so much better.
Okay. All right. Well, it's funny. Like on past shows, I railed about remakes and originality, but there are certain films I feel like that are always like ripe for a remake, and I think Dune. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I like to see more Dune. I like to see more of that story. If they have to redo it, I'm fine, but done in a respectful way versus we're just trying to do this, and just package something together real quick. Like just update the special effects. I would prefer like an original direction with it. That would seem to make me happy.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. This is not something I'm particularly interested in.
All right. Well, we're moving along, Bill. We are moving along, and I feel that people are really happy with how we're proceeding. Don't you think?
Well, we'll see when we get feedback from hopefully listeners.
We still might read Superfan Melissa's email.
Sure.
Anyway. Bill, there were some trailers that came out over these past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, one of them's not really a movie, but we can still talk about it.
Well, yeah. Do they have to be movies?
Well, the name of the show is Popular Cinema Podcast.
Oh, please, now you're going to get technical about it?
I'm just saying. Oh, actually, neither one of them is a movie, but that's cool.
Yeah. So much for you looking at the notes ahead of time, huh?
Yeah, well. Sometimes you look at the notes, sometimes you
very busy over there. Very busy over there at your house.
It's Sunday Fun Day, bitch. Don't try to get in my craw about Sunday Fun Day.
Okay, all right. It's Iron Fist. You saw the new trailer?
I did. Multiple times. And it looks exciting. It does look good. It does look good. I have a history with these shows where I wonder if all of the money shots are going to be have been featured in this trailer. And I have also heard certain things that people who've seen Iron Fist have already said. That leads me to think that we're getting more of same. So I don't know if it's sort of a cheat to give you this trailer that looks all exciting and then give you a 13-hour series that isn't as exciting as this trailer.
I know what you're implying here, but I need you to tell me. I'm getting more of the same of Daredevil. All the action.
I think you're getting. I think you're getting more of same of the Marvel Netflix shows are slow burners, and this is not any different.
Wow,
is what I'm hearing.
Wow, that's disappointing. I mean,
well, did you? I mean, but you can't really be disappointed, Jay, because you can't really have expected them to. You know what you're getting at this point. I mean, they've given you 3 shows now in which they have a certain style. So you have to sort of realize they're not going to break the mold. Now, maybe the best chance of that happening will be the Defenders. A, because it's got 4 heroes in it, and B, because it's got less episodes. But as far as these 13-hour episode shows goes, I don't know if we're ever going to get, Avengers level action from these.
Heaven forbid I turn into Benjamin Button and try to be a kid and be forgetful of the past shows. I mean, the trailer in and of itself got me very excited. There were some cool action scenes. I told you I was not going to be watching the Iron Fist show. But then I saw the trailer and the story of him at least coming back being like a Bruce Wayne, coming back to take over his father's company. It seemed intriguing to me, even though you said the story's been done a million times.
Well, I mean, it's basically Batman Begins and Arrow. That's exactly what it is, or it looks like anyway. I'm willing to see what other flavors they're going to add to it to sort of make it stand apart from those other shows. But the bones of it seems to be a very, very familiar story, to be honest.
So what we're going to do is we're going to each watch 3 episodes, call each other on the phone, and say, is there going to be any type of action anytime soon? Any superpowers? Is that what we're going to be doing?
Probably. I would, if I were you, I would not set my cap to expect anything more than that. And if it becomes more than that, then you'll be pleasantly surprised. And if it doesn't, then you won't be disappointed because you knew it was coming.
Okay. All right. Well, what about the Stranger Things 2 teaser? Came out during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I like Stranger Things. I think I like it less than people have made it out to be. I don't think I'm a voracious, can't wait to see the next episode fan of it. It does seem like they're introducing a whole different monster from the trailer into it, which leads me to the question of, well, are they just going to do a whole new story, or are we going to, because I don't feel like we had all the questions answered from last season. I'm not really ready to move on to a whole other story or other villain until they perhaps flesh out or explain to me exactly what the hell was happening the first season. So I would rather them, if they're going to do a second season, I would rather them not move on beyond to something new, because I don't feel like they really fleshed out what they've sort of started with season 1.
Bill, I have to admit, the cast is on the cover at Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah.
I mean, this show in and of itself, it just harkens back to when we were kids. It has that whole flavor of watching TV back when I was 10 years old.
Sure.
It has all those trappings of it.
It does have the trappings. It certainly does.
Yeah, it's a little bit of nostalgia, and I kind of appreciate that. I mean, those kids, they look like, the type of TV shows and movies we're watching. It's sort of like the Goonies. The cast nowadays don't look like that. They all look like they come out of an Abercrombie and Fitch catalog nowadays. So, I mean, it's kind of refreshing. It's old school.
I'm going to be honest, and this is just going to be my opinion. To me, it is a better, at this point, I'm feeling like it's a better, more interesting version of Super 8. That's kind of where I go with it right now.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something else, but that's
it
fine.
It's not really hitting on all cylinders for me. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I like the show. I like the whole 80s vibe of the show. It feels, the story that they've given me in season 1 feels unfinished and unfleshed out. And I just want them to complete that story to my satisfaction before they move on to, it looks like they're going to be doing a whole other element in the second season.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Well, this next segment I like to call Bill's Diatribe.
I don't know where that came from. That's new. Is this about me blathering on? Because I'll try to do it. I can do it probably in a concise, really. I can do it in a concise way. I've got some very clear feelings on both of these films.
Okay,
so.
all right, well, that's fine. This weekend, you decided to go out and contribute to the studios. Oh, you weren't on this. I was texting and emailing Superfan Melissa, and we were talking about China, and I didn't get to tell you this, speaking of going to the movies, just as a side note. And she was sending me articles, which I have to share with you. Or
I got one.
I still have to read. But at a time you were telling me about how come Force Awakens didn't do well in China. Anyway, I'm not saying this is a correlation to it, but apparently over in China at some point in time, maybe there were some accusations, and maybe there's some real cases to where the studios were doing some sort of like artificial inflation, if you will. Like you would buy a ticket to go see Force Awakens, but the ticket would actually be it would be a credit towards a Jackie Chan movie. So the Chinese, what's that?
I'm just laughing.
But yeah, so it's just kind of like I still have to read on it, but it just seems very interesting right now.
Well, the one I got
plays by its own rules. That's just what's clear. They're like gangsters over there.
The article I got was Melissa sharing that the Hollywood studios they have an agreement with China.
Yeah, they're going to renegotiate it.
So they have to renegotiate it for the next 5 years, because the first one was for the first 5 years, where I believe the studios were getting 25% of the profits from the films, and now they want to negotiate, because normally they get 40%, and so now they're trying to renegotiate that to get a higher percentage. It was a very fascinating article. So,
who do you think has the leverage in that?
I don't know. I think they've kind of both. I think it would probably be in both their interests to do it so that they mutually get benefit from it, because obviously American Hollywood studios need China now more than they ever have needed it before, with the dropout of the home video market that they're not getting a huge amount of funds from. They're looking, and the domestic drop of people, not as many people going to movies anymore. They need to find another source of income, and China seems to be a growing market for them, so that's important. At the same time, outside of American films, what the fuck is China going to play in their theaters? I mean, they can't just have Jackie Chan movies all the time, right? So it seems like there's something that they can both use to benefit. So hopefully they'll come to some kind of agreement where everybody wins.
Maybe Jackie Chan is like Star Wars over there for them. I mean, did you ever think of that?
Which is fine, but even American audiences, you can't just depend on Star Wars. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you here on your diatribe, but you saw 2 movies this weekend. How about you start off with, since it is Valentine's Day weekend, how about you start off with, what is it called? 50 Shades Darker? What the hell?
Right, which is the second of the trilogy of the 50 Shades of Grey stories. I saw the first one in theaters, and I liked it. Some of the sex scenes were a little bit more than I really needed to see, but I understood that was part of the story. But it's really just the trappings to get people into the seats. It's kind of like the special effects for a space movie. It's kind of like you go for the effects, but you also want to be involved in the story. And honestly, there was enough in the first movie to get me interested in the love story between the 2 main characters. And so 50 Shades Darker picks up where the first one left off, and I will say I was not super surprised. I didn't dislike the first one, but this one I liked a lot better than the first one. I think it gets more into the love story of the 2 lead characters. I think you start to really understand and feel attached to both of these characters. I think the actors have really grown into these roles. I think they turn in better performances in this one. And for me, I'm going to say this trilogy, or this movie series, is turning into, and I don't want to say this in a negative way, it's turning into a guilty pleasure. And the only reason I say that is because people obviously have a certain feeling about the sexual explicitness in this film. And again, I will say it is sexually explicit. There is stuff in there that, I don't particularly practice in my own life, and I don't particularly desire in my own life. But hey, to each his own, right? I will say that I've grown to really enjoy these stories. To me, what they are is like modern day soap opera, modern day Dynasty, modern day Dallas kind of movies. I mean, for me as a soap opera fan growing up watching soaps, one of the big things that you always feel like is back in the 80s, the soaps were very grand. There were location settings when there was actual money being made by these shows. At one point, they were actually the most profitable shows on television. And during the Luke and Laura era on General Hospital, the whole country went crazy for it. They had big location shoots. It was opulent, and it looked like they spent some money on it. This 50 Shades kind of harkens back to me to that era of soaps because it's totally a soap opera. This story is a total soap opera, but they're doing it on such an enormous budget that you get that opulence, that diamonds dripping around everything like you used to get with the Dynasty type of shows. And so that's another big bonus for me is like I feel like I'm watching, one of my soaps only on a Star Wars level budget. So it's, for me, it speaks to the gay in me. And there are certain things, trappings and stuff that happen in the film that you go, hell yeah, I'd let him beat the shit out of me if I had that, helicopter ride across the Sahara Desert or whatever too. So
I'm going to ignore that last comment. But let me ask you, what's the problem with the sexual explicitness of it? Isn't that part of why people go see the film?
It is, but here's I don't want to sound
Is it uncomfortable to watch that in a movie with other people? Do you feel like you're at a theater? I mean,
it's much more explicit than you're used to seeing in a regular film. I mean, outside of porn, you don't see these kinds of subjects really delved into very often in regular movies. So it's a bit shocking in that way, and I'm quite certain that it has a lot to do with its popularity because it is something different that people don't normally see in a mainstream movie. They do sort of.
Theater, who did you see? Were there couples or were there groups of just women?
It was mostly groups of women. I didn't see a whole lot of guys, but I mean, these women are treating it like a Sex and the City night out. It's like a girls' night out kind of. It's like when girls go see a strip show, like Magic Mike or something. It's that kind of audience where the girls are like, having the champagne and wearing the masks and everything like they feature in the Masquerade Ball, and it's like a real big girl appeal movie, I think. And after that, you might as well put in parentheses gay men, because I saw a few of those. But as far as the sexual explicitness goes, like I said, it's a little bit shocking because some of it is just stuff you just don't see. But at the same time, it's amusing to me as a gay man when I see things that like I can hear people gasp in the audience over, and these are like, you want to go, how vanilla have you people's sex lives actually been? Because they're pulling out stuff that you could go to like any adult Adam and Eve store and like, or look at any like, Fredericks of Hollywood catalog and buy. I mean, some of the stuff that I think is particularly titillating or scandalous to a certain segment of the audience is stuff that, let's face it, the gays do on a normal Tuesday night. So,
wow.
Some of it I feel like is a little exaggerated with like how scandalous it's actually being, and that's a little bit amusing. But, like I said, it's really the love story between the two characters that draws me into this story, and obviously the budget level. I mean, it's like a soap opera on a superhero movie budget. That's basically how I can sum it up.
Okay, that's fair enough. I guess I'll check it out on video. I probably will be fast forwarding through a lot of parts.
Are you going to buy the one that comes with the Benoit anal beads?
Oh,
packaged with the DVD?
Wow, I see. You've been infected by 50 Shades Darker by just saying that nonsense. I received, back in the day, there was a Fredericks of Hollywood magazine that came to my house.
Sure.
And I was always tasked with getting the mail. And so I saw the Fredericks of Hollywood, and unlike Victoria's Secret, this is me as a young being just getting, opening my mind to the world, if you will. I grabbed this Fredericks of Hollywood magazine. I ran upstairs. I cut it out, and I pasted the photos on the back of one of my picture frames. If you recall, in my upstairs area, I had two picture frames. One was a giant lion, and one was a unicorn. And on the back of those, I don't know if you remember this, if you turned around the picture frame, there was cutouts from Fredericks of Hollywood magazine.
No, you never showed that to me, which seems odd now that I think about it, but you never let me know that was back there. Like, I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was almost like when my mom was away, it would be like my upstairs place would turn into like Hugh Hefner Palace. I just flip
Gross.
around the posters. They'd be like, "Yeah,
She
it's a
never looked
Playboy
back there.
Club up in here." What's that?
She never like looked on the back of those or took them down to dust or anything. And
What? What? Dust? Really? I,
okay, all right, okay. I don't know why you would never have told me that. Why didn't you ever tell me that?
I don't know. It's
I've known you for 30 years. This is the first time here. I've spent many an evening in that house,
I know.
many a night.
I know. Maybe that was just my perversion was just too much to share at that time. I don't know.
You know, perhaps
I
if you
know.
would have shared it, my life would have turned out a little differently, like less gay. But I mean, I guess we won't have to worry about that now.
I'm
Jesus.
sorry. You were already tainted by the age of 2. There's nothing I could have done. I'm sorry.
Apparently,
All
you
right.
weren't going to try to help, like, turn the tide.
So you also saw Lego Batman.
I did.
I love Will Arnett's voice as Batman. I'm sorry. The Lego Batman guy,
Yeah,
I can hear that voice all day. Sorry.
it works. Well, all day is a bit long for me. I would say an hour and 44 minutes is still too much. Maybe 10, and we're good. Batman Lego Movie to me is like the Saturday Night Live skit movies. It works as a 10-minute skit. Maybe. It doesn't work as a 2-hour movie. Because after about 10 minutes, I was laughing and yucking and smiling. And then my smile slowly decreases, and there I'm just sitting there then I start scooching down in my chair. Then my head sort of goes over to the side, and I go, how much longer do I have to sit and watch this? That's where I
All
felt
right.
about 20 minutes in.
So you own the original Lego movie.
I do. I've never watched it, but because I have this new edict of buying things that I've yet to see, just because it seems like that's what I prefer to do, hoping that I will love them. After the Lego Batman movie, I can tell you which movie of my Blu-rays went into the sell pile.
Oh,
Sight
wow.
unseen.
Wow.
Sight unseen.
Okay. All right. Well, out of those 2 movies that you saw this weekend, I am looking forward to seeing Lego Batman when it comes out on DVD.
Okay. I would be interested to hear your reaction because I don't know. You watch some of these stupid cartoon shows like Golem the Insatiable or whatever.
I enjoyed the first Lego movie. I mean, but I do get your point of saying that certain things, the skit is, it wears on you.
Yes.
You can't see the same thing over and over for an hour and 30 minutes. I could see that.
Yeah.
But this might be in my wheelhouse. But hey, you know what? We're done with that.
Wow. We're just moving on. Okay. We got
you
it.
cool
It's
with that?
box office receipt time.
Yeah. We are.
Or if I look at the script that you gave me, it's box office receipts.
If you notice that when I start typing things, I have a lot of typos. I don't go back and try to correct it. I just move on. You know why? Because I'm a mover
Sure.
and a shaker, Bill.
Yeah, we'll call them typos. We'll call them slips of the finger. Absolutely. It has nothing to do with the fact that you don't know how to
I don't
spell.
what I would do without spell check because my spelling has not gotten better with age. I can tell you that right now. It gets worse. I find myself going I after E except after C.
Well, I do that too, but that's because it works. So
Did you happen to see Moonlighting yet?
it's Moonlight, no ing. Moonlighting is a television series from the 80s starring Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis. I've seen all of those, but Moonlight
Listen.
I have not yet seen.
Yeah, whatever. It's my disrespect to the gays. Okay, whatever. Moonlighting, moonlight, whatever. Moonlit, whatever. It's all the same.
I have not. I'll get there.
Okay. All right.
Maybe at the same time I'll watch. Maybe I'll do like a double feature and watch Brokeback Mountain at the same time and get all gayed up for the night.
Yeah. Speaking about something that you should have watched.
But really quick, just a PSA for a second. Have you heard? And I want to see if you're going to be doing this because I would like to watch it and discuss it at some point on a future show. There is a mini-series about the evolution of the gay rights movement over the decades coming out on ABC at the end of this month. It's directed by Dustin Lance Black, who's a very famous gay director. It's called When We Rise. Have you seen the trailers for this? They're on
I
YouTube.
have not.
It's a miniseries. It's over 3 nights. I think they're going to do it. And it looks really very interesting. And I think you really probably might find it interesting, being that you watch most of the gay films that come your way. So think about it.
Okay, but it's on ABC.
Okay.
Um, all right.
What's your point?
When I Rise is the
When
title.
We Rise. When We Rise.
When We Rise. I will watch the trailer, and you will remind me when it comes out, and I'll make a determination based on that.
Okay.
Is it like it's like a mini series? Like how many episodes? 3 episodes,
I think it's
2 hours.
3 nights, 2 hours each. So I think the whole show is like 6 hours long.
Okay, and it chronicles the rise of the gays.
Yes, it's the rise of the gays. As the Gays Rise is the name of the show that comes on before. That's the daytime version of it.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Well, what are they doing? Are they just showing old footage? What does it look like? Old footage or just interviews?
No,
or
it's not a
just-
documentary. It's a dramatic interpretation of the seminal events that have happened over the decades in regards to gay rights. So there's, I imagine they're going to do a section on the Obergefell decision for gay marriage last year. I imagine they're going to do something about the Stonewall riots. I imagine there'll be something about AIDS. You know, those are the general things I'm thinking about, but I'm sure there'll
Okay.
be more.
All right, that's a good PSA. All right, are we ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, for the weekend of February 10th through the 12th, a couple days before Valentine's Day, obviously, the #1 movie. Wow, it's very interesting this week. You had 3 new movies opening this week, bigger budgets, if you will. The #1 movie, let's just skip to the chase, was the Lego Batman movie. It grossed $55 million. Its budget apparently is around $80 million domestic.
How in the hell does an animated Lego movie cost $80 million? Doesn't that seem like a lot of money? It's just a bunch of plastic figurines.
But it's the animation they have to draw.
They don't draw
I don't know.
shit. It's all done in a computer on an algorithm, I'm sure. But
Wow.
I guess it just seems like a lot. But okay.
I'm sure somebody's sitting there going like this. I spend a lot of time coding, Bill. It's just not just plugging it into an algorithm.
I guess. Okay. I mean, damn, if a
All
damn Lego Batman movie costs that much money, shit. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not
All right.
surprised that Lego Batman was #1. I kind of expected that. Although I did expect 50 Shades would give it a run for its money. It did, just not quite enough.
Yes. #2 movie, 50 Shades is Darker, brought in $46 million on a budget of $55 million. So, that's more than respectable.
Yeah. I think it's going to be fine.
And apparently, it looks like it made $100 million overseas. Not really sure where it opened up at, but it made $100 million overseas. So apparently, 50 Shades
On a
is gonna be
$45 million
around for a while.
budget, they've already made 100 and how much?
On a $55 million budget, they've already made $146 million.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah.
They'll be a 50 Shades Freed. Yeah.
#3 movie. Wow, look at this. I mean, this is a tough movie weekend. When you talk about tough movie weekends, you've got the Lego Batman movie, which would bring in the families and the children. Then you got 50 Shades Darker that brings out the perverts like yourself. And then you've got like the whole it's TNT, Spike, man versus man. You got John Wick Chapter 2 coming out, which made $30 million. I mean, it's just a tough weekend, Bill.
John Wick, I heard, made 108% more than the original on its opening weekend. So apparently this is a franchise that's got some legs. It's Keanu Reeves' first franchise hit since Matrix. Things are looking up for John Wick.
John Wick has the whole trappings of sort of like a forgive me for my comparison. It's got the whole trappings of something coming in just small, and then you're like, oh, this seems pretty cool. And by that time, the buzz and the cult feeling follow, and then the second one, it just performs at a gangbuster rate. I'm not calling 30 million gangbuster, but certainly.
Did you see John Wick 1?
I did.
So, am I mistaken, or is this? He's not. It's a comic book, but he's not a superhero. Is that right?
Well,
Or is
one,
it a video
I didn't
game?
know it was based on a comic book.
I don't know if it's it's based on something. I don't know if it's a comic book or a video game. It's based on something.
Okay. And two, he doesn't have superpowers, but then again, he's just a badass, as with all people, like, unlimited ammo in your guns. You can shoot 5,000 bullets, even though you seem to have a handgun, and you can do all sorts of crazy Matrix-like moves, even though you're just regular. But this is the definition of suspend your disbelief and just enjoy the guy.
So it's kind of like a Death Wish or a Rambo kind of movie.
On steroids. I
Right.
mean, like, you're eating the whole store full of steroids right now on it. So yes, but it's
Okay.
cool. It's got a cool factor to it. It's got the whole, like, you wear the coat and the tie. It's got some Pulp Fiction to it. It just oozes coolness. And I think that's also the attraction to it. It's bloody violent, and it's cool.
All right. So reading the Wikipedia, it just says it's a premise conceived by screenwriter Derek Kolstad, who began work on a treatment about a retired contract killer coming out to seek vengeance, entitled Scorn. Okay. Huh. Sounds violent.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's on the same level as you will of, like, let's say, a Kingsman type of thing.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. All right. The number 4 movie, Bill's Boy is Back, Split. It's been out for 4 weeks. It brought in another $9 million to bring its total to 112 domestic and about 57 million overseas, for a grand total of $170 million on approximately a $10 million budget.
Can you say Unbreakable Trilogy, bitch? What? Did you say they called him Mr. Glass?
Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah. It looks like M. Night's no longer eating that, like, the Red Barn. He's upgraded.
More
to
ramen
Chipotle.
noodles for night. Yeah, they're gonna call up catering services and order shrimp cocktail.
All right, and the number 5 movie for the weekend of February 10 through 12, Hidden Figures, also known as Hidden Fences to some people.
I thought you were gonna say Hidden Fists. Is that 50 Shades 3?
I know. All right, that brought in $8 million for a total of 131 domestic and about $8 million overseas.
Wow.
For a total of $140 million on an approximately $25 million budget, which is also a coup for the people.
And perhaps we'll send a message to Hollywood, although it might be too much to hope for, that a movie can star 3 middle-aged black actresses and still make money.
Yeah. I'm looking on this list, Bill, and I'm just scrolling down here as we reach the end of our show here. I'm looking at XXX, The Return of Xander Cage. I kind of railed on this thing that it just looks like crap.
Sure.
Looks like crap to me. It doesn't even look fun. Whatever else. It made $43 million in the U.S., and its production budget was $85 million.
Okay.
It made $43 million in the U.S. Okay, so I wasn't the only one that just sat there and just looked stupid. Okay. You know how much it made overseas?
How much?
$186 million overseas.
So it's another Warcraft situation.
Yeah, I guess so. It made $229 million. You're
What's
right.
interesting is our
if you're gonna bring
trash seems to be the treasures for those people, and our treasures aren't really speaking to them all the time. So, for example, the Star Wars movies don't do as much gangbuster business as they do here, but we can shit out some kind of turd of a fucking half-ass space movie or some kind of Vin Diesel vehicle, and the box office goes crazy. It's like topsy-turvy world over there. It's like Freaky Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I guess when you say Warcraft, I guess I can't be all up in arms about it because I would like to get another Warcraft movie. But certainly I don't know if I need another Triple X Xander Cage Part 2 movie. But I guess it speaks for someone. I'm
Well,
sure
it
somebody
must
would
if
be
it's
happy
making
about
that kind of
that too.
money. I don't understand it. Maybe Vin Diesel is some kind of draw for them. I don't know. I don't know why. Did Triple X, the other ones, make a lot of money overseas? That's their official
Um,
title, by the way. Triple X, the other ones.
I don't know. Oh, here we go. Here we go. There's been 3 Triple X movies. Okay. The first one came out in, let's see here, 2002. On a production budget of 70 million, Vin Diesel apparently brought in $277 million. It made $142 million in the US alone. So maybe this is at the
And
height
overseas,
of,
does it have
what's that?
domestic or foreign? Does it have foreign take?
Yeah, foreign, 135 million.
Okay.
Okay, then he came out with Triple X State of the Union. And I recall this one had Ice Cube in it. And so at that point, as soon as you put Ice Cube in the movie, it just seems to me like you're just giving up. Like you're just trying to go like straight to video or something. Like this
Really?
it's got straight to video written all over it. I mean, certain actors that you put into the show sometimes just brings down the whole production value. It's not like they put in like Al Pacino. They put in Ice Cube. I mean, come on. Come on. But hey, it made $26 million domestic.
In domestic. Wait a minute.
It made
Triple X 2 made how much in domestic?
26 million.
What was the budget?
Doesn't give me the budget, oddly enough. And foreign, it made 44 million. So the
I'm sure the
sequel-
budget, which explains why it took them so long to do a Triple X 3 in the first place. But I'm
it took
assuming
12
that
years.
right,
12 years.
there must have been some kind of home video explosion or something overseas for it, because those numbers don't seem like they would align with ever making a sequel in either territory for me. But okay.
Well, I think if you once you get rid of Ice Cube, I guess it's the.
I mean, do you have some kind of it's like you have some kind of bigotry against rap stars in movies.
You know what? I have a bigotry against people who have a certain talent but then can't act. They're not actors per se. Sometimes they do, the two shall meet at times, but generally speaking, outside of Mark Wahlberg, rarely does a singer go on to become a stellar actor.
Really?
They
Have you
just
never
don't.
heard of Will Smith? I mean, really?
All right, you know what? All right, just because you named, there's a million actors out there. You've given me Will Smith. I've given you Mark Wahlberg. What are you going to give me? You're going to give me what's his name from Ant-Man?
Paul Rudd?
T.I.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You're going to give me Ludacris from Fast and Furious?
How about is oh, I was going to say Tyrese, but he's not a rap star, is he?
Not really.
Okay.
But we can explore this here. But it's just.
I'm
What
just saying, it
is
seems like you have a particular like venom when you mention like rap stars in movies. Like Sticky Fingers, you said made a fine Blade.
How about this? This is what I'm saying. Do you remember the movie by Peter Berg? What was it called? It starred your boy who was supposed to be playing Gambit at one point in time.
Channing Tatum?
No, the guy before him. He played in John Carter.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. What about it?
It was
Battleship?
Battleship. Yes.
Yeah, with
And
Rihanna?
guess who it starred? It starred Rihanna.
Right.
Okay. She can't act. All right.
Well-
But the reason why she's in the movie is because she's Rihanna. And it's just painful to see that these are the type of things that they do out there. And I'm just saying, when Ice Cube was in the movie, to me, all it brought in was a flavor of just like low rentness. It screams low rent, sci-fi, straight to video. It doesn't scream like Casino Royale, high quality James Bond film. It screams something else to me. Screams something else. That's all.
How does
it's
it
almost-
scream? scream low rent to you when Sticky Fingers and Ice Cube and all them could probably buy and sell you and everything you own about 50 times over.
You're once again, you're always going to the money again. It's always the
Well,
money with you.
I'm just saying.
All right, how about you give our plugs? Give our plugs, Bill. Where can they? Oh, we didn't have a chance to get to Melissa's email. How are we running on time? Do we have time to read this?
We're over, but you can read it.
All right. I will say that 8 days ago, Superfan Melissa decided to send us an email to Popular Cinema Podcast. She was able to listen to episode 37.
Episode
Title it Oscars, So What? Which I told Bill we should not do because it's going to imply that maybe we might be talking about the Oscars. Apparently, this seemed to upset some fans. And Superfan Melissa wrote to us, and if I quote, seriously, you're not going to talk at all about the Golden Globes or the Oscars? The name of your goddamn podcast is Popular Cinema, but you're not discussing the most heralded pieces in popular cinema for the year. You went to see Force Awakens 3 times before taping your podcast about it. You studied every frame of Rogue One like it was a Zapruder film. But
I thought that was particularly funny.
The year, just because they aren't part of Star Wars, DC, or Marvel universes. Did the women of Hidden Figures have to rip off their pencil skirts and expose superhero costumes in order for this outstanding movie to get your attention? You guys talk about the impact of race in popular cinema, but you don't want to discuss or even watch Hidden Figures, Fences, or Moonlight. Or how about Lion? I love the idea of spotlighting one director and discussing his filmography during the next podcast. Here's a radical idea. Why don't you pick a director that is actually nominated for an Oscar this year and make your podcast relevant to what is going on in popular cinema? Will you do it? No. Instead, let's get ready for a deep dive into the careers of Joss Whedon and Bryan Singer. Y'all better get your shit together or change your name to something more benefiting your content. Quote, Star Wars Circle Jerk would be perfect. That's all. You guys are crushing it, and I'm loving the latest episodes. But the Golden Globes and Oscar snubs are unacceptable. Love, Superfan Melissa.
Okay, so I realize that most of this was tongue-in-cheek, so I will take it in the light that I'm sure it was meant in. But I do have to say that, honestly, the women of Hidden Figures ripping off their clothes to reveal superhero outfits might actually get me in the theater to see it. Short of that, and I'm out.
Shame. Shame.
Here's how it is. Here's how and I thought we did a pretty good job of explaining our viewpoints, or at least I did, on the Oscars in the show. But, to reiterate, I am not into the Oscars, and I don't particularly have an affinity for genres of film that don't interest me, and I don't hide it because I'm just putting it out there as the stuff that we are interested in or that we talk about on this show is the stuff we put in the show. The stuff that I am excited about in cinema is what we put in the show. And if we don't put it in the show, then I guess one can infer that we're not particularly excited or interested in it. That's pretty true. But I find it more genuine to come out and say that on my own behalf than to sort of put stuff in the show that I really have no interest in and don't have a lot of input to discuss. I feel like that would kind of be disingenuous. So, honestly, I've like I said, I've stated how I feel about the Oscars. When the Oscars nominate stuff that I'm interested in, they'll get coverage on this show. Until then, Star Wars suck best it is.
Okay, allow me to respond. Bill, I figure at some point in time you're going to probably step out and two-time me by doing your Star Wars podcast again, unbeknownst to me. And when that happens, then I'm going to probably get Melissa on the horn and maybe do a podcast where we can discuss Moonlight, Fences, and Hidden Figures together.
You know what? Let me go one further. I will actually extend an invitation to Superfan Melissa that at this time next year, when it's Oscar time, because, I highly doubt that Oscars will shock me next year, just as it hasn't in the last 10. And she can come and guest spot, and I can have a week off. and you guys can just hash it out because you've seen some of these movies, I assume, or are interested in discussing some of these movies, I assume. And then you guys can, go about the whole Oscar discussion, and I'll just listen to it like a regular fan. And I'll come back the following week and suck off George Lucas some more.
What happens when we do that, and next thing you know it, our downloads go through the roof? I'm going to sense there's going to be a problem with you.
If there's not, because I'm going to suggest that you'll listen to a spin-off show, and I still won't have anything to worry about. I'm good.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
So,
all right. Please keep your messages coming. You can reach us at popularcinemapodcast@gmail.com. I believe our phone number is 802-35-PCP35, but I haven't dialed it or got any messages on there a long time, so I really don't know if that's the real
number. So we're hoping that's the number, but if you miss dial and really want to get through to us, well, screw you. No, certainly not, because there are other ways of reaching us. And those are on our Twitter feed at PopCinemaCast or our email address.
Yes, at popularcinemapodcast@gmail.com. Did you notice the followers that you get on Twitter sometimes are just people that are like posting like nude pictures of themselves?
I don't pay attention to my followers. I only follow. I follow other people who bring the news to me. Since I don't tweet, I find it odd that I have any followers. So when people follow me, I just tend to ignore it because they're not going to find out anything about my interests because I never tweet.
Okay.
Are you know which one? The people who follow you, are they like posting nudes and stuff?
Yeah, well, no, yes, it's the Popular Cinema Podcast. Not following me, it's following us.
Well, we don't post on there either.
I just get an alert that sometimes you have a follower, and I go, ooh. And sometimes it's like a real person. Like some person's like, I do voiceover work, and they follow. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then you get some person that's like Salinka from Russia, and then all of a sudden you click on it, and it's her in a bathing suit going like, click here for more new pictures of me. And I'm like, So
your Twitter that I've given you and I've set up for you to get all the news directly to it, is that your personal or the Pop Cinema Cast Twitter?
It's the Pop Cinema Cast one. I don't.
No, I know I sent you up a personal one too.
Yeah, I don't use that one.
Okay. Why not?
I have no idea what's on. I don't have time to toggle between Twitter accounts.
Really? Because it's like point and click?
What?
It's point and click. It takes like 2 seconds.
It's very tiresome for my thumb sometimes.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I was just curious because I don't know.
Disturbance in the force.
I don't know how many. I'll have to look at there because I don't know if that you're on the Pop Cinema one that you're following a whole bunch of people. I'm following like 700 people, so my tweet feed never sleeps.
Okay. All right. Well, Bill, it's been an interesting show, most enjoyable. I'm glad that we've gotten this show done by 4 o'clock. This is all very good. And what I will be doing is I will be uploading the show, and we'll be talking soon. Oh, guess what? My girlfriend just got off work.
Oh, cool.
She just said that she hopes that the podcast is going well.
Well, that was nice.
All right. So let me do this because as I kind of in there. So you're going to be watching Legion tonight?
We are. We're going to watch Legion and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Face Off.
All right. I'm very excited. I mean, whatever time you watch Legion, I know you got a lot of shows tonight. Why don't you give me a quick text, like a thumbs up or a middle of the road or wait and see type of thing? Not a whole diatribe or something, but just give me your thoughts. I find the show to be very cool and interesting. I'm very excited to kind of see where it goes. I'm actually hoping you feel the same way too, but I guess we'll see. Hour and a half.
All right.
Okay, well, I will see you at the TCT studio in 2 weeks.
Actually, I'll see you before that. Ice Cream Social, anybody?
Oh, yes, that's right. I'll maybe heading to your neck of the woods for some sort of ice cream with the young nephew.
It's a week from yesterday.
Yes, you're correct. I forgot about that.
All right.
Peace on the road.
All right. See ya.
Fans. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.